What is the first thing you did, like what is the first thing that made you realize good Iowa is as you like when you got your first like discipline from like your parents, like and at what age was that?
Okay, so I remember being told, I was being told that so you know those things that I
like why you tend a lot and
I'll bring out the stuff shagavigwa like wayenziwa kanza panama biscuits or whatever nakarerwa my biscuits maromen, you know those choice assorted. My dad had bought them for my mom.
Well, the one that had like the jelly, the one, okay, I remember those.
And then I brought them out. Went to my mom's bedroom, brought them out. And one got zukuru, so now I was zukuru like, mbuya, and then yeah. I do have parts of my memories about that day in particular, as I remember Nakaro.
They beat the amnesia into you.
Yes. And the other time, I was at church. I'd gone to church with my grandmother. My grandmother was in church, so I'd gone out madai. So she saw me all pulpit, and you know that eye that talks. So I went back into church. And yeah. Yeah.
Interesting. Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to another exciting episode of The Bold Exchange. I am joined by Tatenda Wachenuka. She's a human rights activist slash naGogo, famously known as naGogo. And Tatenda, thank you. It's a pleasure to have you here.
Pleasure's all mine.
Tell me something. At what point do you start remembering what your granny taught you? Like, at what point does this whole thing come together? Like, oh wow, this made sense.
I think for me, it was firstly within the workspace. I've been working around for quite a bit. There are things that I would do, like that come to me naturally, like Quantum Salt and Vumukambra Salt. Like pastel salt, and people are like, oh, and I'm like, no, put it down. And people are like, what for? Chingotambra salt. And then it's these other small things that I do that made me realize, no, the things that I do, most people don't know these things. So I would ask them, oh, zoti salt ne milipira shtambidzano. Then they're like, no, mbakadu shtambidzana zvinebasare. You know, that sort of thing. So I had been doing TikTok for quite a bit, and then I decided I might as well as just, start telling people. So I started with one video, and I saw, okay, people are engaging, and then another, and then I was like, interesting. So it's mostly at work when I realized, Kuti, the things that I know, most people don't know those things.
So, like in your upbringing, what role did the community play in your upbringing, and what's the importance of like community when you're bringing up a child? And like, because the way you say it on your videos is like, these are things that we need to contribute to. What's the importance of that?
Okay, so for me, community like really plays a huge role. I strongly believe Mwana like with the whole community, that whole notion. Why? Because I grew up in a family where we were so closely knit. You wouldn't know or someone is broke. Someone would, pitch up, whether you for a parent, someone is going to come through, whether school fees are shorter, there's a banguru, there's a sekuru is going to be told. Our problems growing up within my family were not personal problems where you hide them as a family, but they're actually problems where the whole family comes through and, we support each other. So for me, that's just... I do believe that the family unit, even the broader community unit, plays a wider role. So I'll tell you a funny story. There are a lot of people that I call Nambuya or Nini, but that are not even related to us, like by blood, but they are related by Mtupo.
Okay.
Because that's the sort of family I grew up in. Kuti mukangonzori yanera tembo, wasakamata mningna wangu yanera soko, wasakamata ya mai wangu, that sort of thing. So for me, I do feel like community does play a major role.
Yeah, and like it's interesting because like I remember Kudara, how these days are now stressed kuti panam patajikiwe vazotenga makabeji. Like my producer is actually big on like I think Baker's in Panic a Million Kawakatuana, he always buys a lot of stuff when it comes to NAMO and contributions. But back in the day, remember Paimonzi Pakatikafinas I don't know. I'm not sure which century you're from, but me, I'm from like the 1800s, right? So back in the
Okay.
days, paito famba waitoziva kutoti zvokunzi hapana sadza panhamo is because you know that pamwe tikanhamo people would always just like a ndiro yeupfu and the
Yeah.
whole and
Yeah.
by the time things are happening. Why do you think that currently as a community and as a society we are so far apart and so detached from each other?
I think most of it is around how, we are so fond of being Eurocentric. And I would also blame this on some certain aspects of religion, right? I will not name names, but there's, Kudara before, because I remember the incidents you're talking about. In our house, I grew up in Kadoma, in Romoka. Mustrismedu book, kanofamba. Guta pavapiwa upfu, apavatipa muriwo, avai contributor. And you wouldn't have to wait for Hamad Zemunu kuti dzishike, right? Maitwa na wakadzi muraini watobatidza moto, mapoto atotorwa, zvinhu zvatotanga kuti masofa atobuditswa panze. Ngoma dzatotsvagwa, hama dzekuharare dzasara dzosvika, rufu rwatova in full force, chavo kuzongouya vachizongoenda kunoita zvema-death certificate, And it's also because I don't know, we're just growing further and further apart from each other. We're disconnecting from each other. And I think most of it is also rooted in the fact that the things that tie us as a community are mostly based in our African tradition, and we are moving further and further away from that, So we are mostly concentrating on going to church on Sundays, who pledges the most, and we are not concentrating on our relatives' kids who are not going to school, but would rather, pledge 1,000 to church. So for me, I feel like even Christianity has a role to play in us, moving further away from each other as a community.
And so tell me about your journey. You're a small town girl. You move into the big city. How was the culture shock then? Like, at least in a small town, I remember my days. We should small community. Why to munhu wese aitoziva kuti wakatofura nebhebi uchitoenda naye padeni munhu wese aitoziva kuti our bloods vanga nebhebi padeni and mbura yedu yese aitoziva. So like how did you like how was it like adapting to being from a small town coming into a big city, and just how was that experience for you?
I didn't get quite a culture shock because I also did part of my primary here. Then I moved back to Kadoma to stay with my grandmother, Mwana, akarerwa naGogo. And then when my grandmother got sick, I had to come back to Harare. So I kind of had bits and pieces of being Harareized in me, and then also bits and pieces of so I got the best of both worlds, pretty much. But I can tell you for a fact, being in a small town is totally different. I feel like your opportunities are more limited than being in a bigger town. Your exposure, your level of exposure is different. Because I think I was actually just doing a small scan. You can tell there are not a lot of organizations that are in Kadoma.
All right.
You get your decentralized parastatals, but then it ends there. So it's kind of different. Yeah.
And when your Gogo was like teaching you all the stuff that she was teaching you, right? Was there a part of you that thought, well, I think this information should actually be put in our curriculum and just stuff like that? Was there a time where you thought, well, this is like really valuable information that I think that people should know out there?
If I'm being honest, I think when I was being taught these things, I thought these are normal things. You're a child, you're just being taught, okay, I would go and move away. And I thought, oh, okay, this is normal. And I thought that's what everyone else's Gogo does. But then when I grew up, that's when I realized, no, it's not, no, this information is not as common as I thought it was. And as I was growing up and becoming a professional, I'm in the human rights space, that's when you realize, okay, we learn a lot about other people's histories and culture. We know I'm pretty sure a lot of children will tell you my president's like United States, but they probably don't know Mashikiro Awe in Zimbabwe. or why the chimurenga is called the chimurenga, that sort of thing. So as I was growing up this, and I realized I totally agree. Some of these things should actually be put in our curriculum, even the things that they should be there, because that's what makes us who we are. That's what has been keeping our communities. So why should we rubbish it now?
No, I like what you said, which like when you just thought like that, well, that's what everyone else was taught. Now let's get to the nitty-gritties of those issues, right? I've always wanted to ask someone, which like, but the minute that his wife passes away, right, and then now you want to come and say something, why do you think that is in our African culture? Like, why tisingateri zvipande zvedu vanhu vachiripo kuti so togarataza kuti sha iwo nemombe dzedu 3 dzauri owa gara watipa, like let's talk about the African funeral in general.
Yes.
Like from just decipher that and dissect that.
Okay, so maybe I don't want to start from the African funeral perspective. Let me start from the marriage perspective.
Okay.
Boy and girl meet, Janjani, they stay together, they move in, and like,
Kana move indoor and go big mapoto.
Yes, that'll become a poto.
Okay.
As you can stand for yourself and tell your family, good, and trust me, your family, why not on trial, good, correctly, and then because more modern and you went to Harvard and you're, you think this is nabasa. Most no fan chiriko. Almost no find your wife or your husband, but it's shaganyanyira kuvakadzi musunofa mukadzi nofanana ati chishona chivanhu chiriko, because uchatanga kuroreswa munhu akafa vakada kuitira utsenye vanongosiya chitunha, and there is no way pauchanoviga chitunha chevaridzi, even hama dzako simba racho anenge achirwana kupi rekusumudza chitunha chemutorwa votonoviga, you can't. So that's why I saw men were so excited. You guys were so excited. Oh, you guys can go to court and get married. You should have seen the uproar that was happening. The kids are like, whoop, whoop, yay, yay. But the parents are like, try it. I remember my mother picked up the phone. And then she was like, wow, nah, what I saw. She was like, I don't try it. And the same sentiment is the same across the board. Parents will tell you true good. One they want it. It shows respect. Lobola is not a transaction. It's just an exchange of respect. Fine, park that aside. Paro for their rites and rituals that should be followed, whether we like it or not. Whether you decide kuzorova, that's up to you. But obviously, things like munukananga snopedza kurora ntongufana kupedzisa kurora.
All right.
Munukananga achibika mapoto nevaridzi, they should at least do something to show appreciation, right? Hembe dzemufi, especially kana ari mutorwa musigove hama dzake dzesipo. Because whether or not you want to believe Mami Pariko is a question for a different topic altogether. So that's just things as they should be done. We don't make these things up. We just accept they're given to us by the people who've lived before us, and I'm sure they did those things for a particular reason, and it was shiripo. Right.
All right. So like and like what's like one thing I've noticed is that like at a lot of funerals, like amaive munu, like just or represented from the maternal side is important. Why is that important?
Okay, so a representative. Okay, now we're bringing the conversation to ancestry. Yemun.
Okay.
Munu ese anempereko. That's your mom. Munese and the side remtimiake, that's the dad's side.
All right.
So nothing happens without equilibrium in both these. There's representation of your ancestry, right?
All right.
The same in the spiritual, the same in the physical. So changunyangu munu pantororwa Anti kunoda mai vake or a representative. Yeah, mai or baba. That's the same. Munhu panotongofa, you need that representation. Kuti whatever rights anofana kumiririrwa. Saka kana mai vake vaine zvavanofana kuita kurerera kutaura. Someone anobva in that line should be there standing saamai. The same goes from the dad's side. Kana baba vakango akafa, a representative from the dad's side. That representative anofana kuya omirira orerera sababa, so that message is then carried into the spiritual.
He's talking about like ancestry and like our African systems evil, because like you know like the minute you just say like you mentioned earlier on Gudgurwa Makua, right? And the minute you say that, someone will think that it's evil. So is it evil? And if you've been to the process of Gudgurwa Makua, what happens, so that maybe you can demystify the fact that people think that it's evil or not evil or whatever? Like what really happens when people barunza Gudgurwa Makua?
Okay, so kana Gudgurwa Makua murku bring her back officially away mushakavu into the family, so they can look after the family. They can, if they had whatever particular gifts, they can give the gifts to the family, etc., etc. That is why kana munhu achinza buda mdzimu, the first question is munhu before afakarova guwa here, because munhu akafa akasarova guwa abvumidzwe kudzoka semudzimu, because haana kuitirwa what's supposed to be done.
All right.
Right. And for me, the question of evil would be evil
according to whose standard?
Evil according to whose standard? Because our relatives into the family, our families are more protected, we're doing things as should be done. But if you're standing in the feet of a Christian will tell you, the Bible says the dead don't know anything. And they'll even give you examples when Saul went achida kunomutsa mweya wa ndakangamwa akanoita divination what and God said that's not proper. So Christians will tell you the dead don't know anything, vakapedzera kuziva musi wavakafa. So for me it's a case of it's neither here nor there. It just depends with your beliefs. Because I would tell you, I would support guys, guys. But the thing with these things now is that when certain things happen, they affect the whole family. Whether you're Christian, whether you're not a Christian, whether you choose to believe or choose not to believe. As a family, we all need to sit down and be like, Sakatuita say.
So like, just sorry to just like track back just a bit, right? You mentioned stuff about Lobola and stuff, like, so what are some of the facts and myths about Lobola that you know? Because like, to be honest, the other time I was actually thinking panofana kutira munhu anovhura company yekuti vanhu vangono okuti unongoenda chiconsultants chako ungonobhadhara 5,000 consultation fee, vanhu vongoenda kana application like what is it, chero kuti chinozi kuti and stuff like that. What are some of the facts about Lobola that you think that people don't know out there?
Okay, so I think maybe the history of Lobola, if I can, maybe.
All right. Okay, yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
Kudara grains badza, right? Wayenda ne badza, unopa badza. Badza had a significant value. Remember, Iron Age, Stone Age, it had significant value. So we're going to go to the other family to say, I'm coming to build a relationship, to join the families. In case pamanga kasengwa bir, that musenga bir thing. Yeah. In case ndakamba, ndakatisa 1999, right? So Lobola is just I can't say it's a ritual. It's not a transaction either. It's a process, yes. It's a process where the family of the guy comes and joins the family. So we're joining two families together. We're now one family. And also that is proven by the children that come from that union. Right. How it's being done now, okay, each to their own. Because I think it's also different from family to family. There are some families who are very strict on tuda mombe matikenyandevu, tuda mombe chimanda, tuda zeumai, tuda, that sort of. And then there are some families that are really chilled and relaxed. I just come with what you have. Because that's the backbone of Lobola, kubatanidza ukama.
All right. And like, do you know the list of the whole, and like the list of everything that you need to pay for Lobola? I'm actually like trying to organize a Lobola right now, so this is like free consultation.
Josh, I will invoice you. I don't know how it's different from family to family, but there are things that should be there.
The non-negotiables.
Yes.
All right.
Mombe omai.
Okay.
You can do anything. Cannot baba, but mombe omai should go.
All right.
Mombe inema problems. Nengos that mombe should go.
All right.
Whether it marry or whatever, that should go. Then poita kana munhu wako anga uchengetwa outside the family unit. Pane zvechiredzwa. But it depends. Some families would say chiredzwa ngachi.
No, I wanna ask you, like, why should I pay like a chiredzwa for people who kept you? Like, I thought that was your father's responsibility to take care of you, right?
Well, chiredzwa should not bhadarwa.
But I'm saying, but am I the one who's supposed to pay the chiredzwa?
So what's supposed to happen is that the father's family, kwavaka ava baba vemusikana vanenge yotezvaras, are the ones vane responsibility yekubhadhara chiredzwa. But sometimes these, because of our family units, how they are now, and sometimes achitaurirane pamwe pana akasumuka akatiza responsibility, things just fall through the cracks. But kana pakuzodaitwa maprocesses ane chivanhu mukati.
All right.
These things start popping up. Ndozvakafanana even nezverufu zvaungochitaura shasha kuti why is it parufu ndo patinoda kutanga kusoti njani rora munhu chino nechino.
And so like it's just the moment, because someone is telling me that you don't negotiate the Mumbe, like everything about the mom stuff.
You don't.
Oh, sorry, can I offer you something? All right, so groceries. So what the list is what? Groceries, ndiro.
Marian Diro.
Vura. So Marian Diro is like jogo mom facilitation fee.
Yes.
Because I mean, you guys got the plate already. Like, why am I paying $20 for a plate that you guys have?
Kushandisa plate yedu pamba paid.
Saka idongo na uyane kango.
No, you can't.
Why?
Toshanza plate the pamba paid and then.
We are receiving.
Yeah.
That's the one I give.
So I'm paying you to receive.
Yes.
Okay. Then let's carry on. Voramrom. It's like I haven't talked to your dad before, like to say, and then what else?
Mantikini Devu.
All right. We've got Masekenya Devu.
Yeah, wakandidza nani.
Yo, my guy, you're on Facebook. You're always tweeting. Like, I know you, guy. Like.
But remember these things. Zvakaitwa kusatwa on Facebook.
All right.
Yeah.
Makandizona nikangori kamwe ka beef uri muda mfana unofila ka beef price gokuti yo. Do you know who I am, my guy? Like, okay. Kupinda mumusha.
Yes.
Do
you know that whole thing zvamunoita kuenda kunoona vasikana venyu kudzimba dzemaparents avo, it's actually illegal?
What do you mean? If the parents are on holiday, my G, okay, you're saying?
You're about to expose yourself.
No, I'm just saying. Nah.
It's not allowed by tradition.
All right.
Even that whole thing where your biological parents met your boyfriend, traditionally that's not how it's supposed to be.
So your biological parents...
They can go kwana mbuya, they can go kwana tete, they can't see your biological parents. But is what are the biological parents do is they meet your boyfriend, I guess, ndo kumodernize kwacho. But
I think can this guy take care of my daughter?
I don't know. People do it for different reasons. Some are just more chilled, like I said. Some people are chilled, they don't really care about those things. But you'll be penalized. They'll penalize you. Musarora, you're not friends. Musarora, but a different breed.
I hear you.
And most of the times I was sort of trying to get to the other document.
Okay. And then there was the Yemazimbuya. Yo, guys. Unongoshirwa big panapa, guys.
But it what happens when one day. Nongoita neyawinayo yoyo.
Mafukiza Dumbu is what?
Ndezvekwamai.
Alright, Mafukiza Dumbu is my Rosambo.
Rusambo nderwa nababa.
Alright, Danga.
So can I be political?
Alright.
So you know how.
No, let's hear this Rosambo.
So Rosambo, do you know the actual significance of Rosambo?
Extortion.
No, it's not extortion.
Okay, you're saying sorry.
So why is it Rosambo no dura? Because Rosambo is like dorura, right?
Yeah.
It's the actual price that you're paying for the conjugal rights.
Yeah.
So when you're now having that feminist conversation where it's the married women versus the unmarried women, or the women that sell themselves,
All right.
practically it's almost the same thing. Because on this end, it's just that a whole family is gathered there.
And they're pimping their daughter.
Yes. And then on the other end, it's just this woman doing pay as you go. And then the other
I don't go to Rosambo again. Wow.
I know many people are going to be on my neck for this one, but that's the truth.
Mbatya baba as vanonga vasina mbatya dzavo dzaruro, like why do I need to clothe your dad and your
Come on,
and why does it have to be British styled clothing, like like the trench coats and like
just
yeah.
But it's not like just come on.
No, but I'm just saying, like, what's the significance of that?
It's just a token of respect, a token of appreciation. To where
I'm coming to marry, guys, this is just for entertainment. Why just here strictly for entertainment that I'm done.
Red flags.
Okay, so and then someone I heard with Mai you don't negotiate anything of the Mai stuff. Why is that?
Anamai vanowinza ngozi vakagunun'una kuti zvinhu zvedu zvazvakashota njenjani, vanababa anamai vatorwa kumwana wavo, anababa ihama dzemwana wavo, so you would rather deal nezvinhu zvevatorwa zvopera. Izvi anababa you can negotiate and watonoti ava vane ukama.
All right. And like so tell me, like given the divorce rate, and I was reading an article about a guy who actually like married Nezuru, I think it's in the yesterday's press, where someone like I wrote I would refund and stuff like that. And what do you think is the main contribution of divorce in our society currently?
I think there are a lot of factors, but one of them I feel. You remember we used to, okay, not we, because when I grew up, but Paul would go kana sekuru, they get prepped up for life, how to be a man, jani, those sort of things. And girls would get the same. They go kana tete, munanga, they're getting prepped. This is life, and then whatever, they get prepped for marriage and stuff like that. I feel like that unit, right? It also did something to the marriage system, because now we have an over-prepared wife. Because I think for women, it doesn't stop. For women, from day one, you're being prepped to be a wife. When you say an over-prepared wife, what do you mean? Like shisha, chichi, is that over-preparation? No, like, statements like, would I get used to it? Women are being socialized to accept unacceptable behavior. Men are like this, no, don't worry, this, but I don't think men are taught the same. So you have a woman who's really ready to be a wife, and a man who hasn't little to no clue. No. It's not, I don't think it comes from that though, right? I'll push back on that. I think it comes from the fact that from birth until you get married and until you probably die, you are always judged on the performance that you do in society, like just from your performance, your ability to provide, your ability to rise up the ladder, right? So it's, when I say Guti, when you say they're not prepared, I mean, it's a jungle out there and everyone is fighting for the very same dollar, right? And everyone is like, yo, the stresses of, like, there's more, I think more is expected from a guy than it is from a wife. Right now, I'm telling you, listen to me, right? Right now, wakati my mwana kwatugara kuno kuno kwane noise, dust and traffic arongo dai, so ne dust rongo pfumbuka. Let's
we need to move. Unoziva kuti iwe une power yokutota kuti titomove as sure because mbamo mune musakatombogariki. And then whether I'm financially ready to do that or not, we will have to move. And I feel like there's more demand on the guy in terms of the financial aspect of it. But I mean, you can push back. I can hear you out. Let's hear what you say.
Like my face is literally writing subtitles. No, I don't agree with what you're saying. And why do I not agree? I think if we were to do a census of female-headed households right now, we have more females heading households. Why? I'm still talking.
Okay,
because
I'm hearing.
There are women who are stepping up because the men are not stepping up. There are a lot of men who just give up, leave, gone. Fees is on the wife. Food is on the wife. Everything is on the wife. Take out a poll very married with their husbands who are also financially stepping up than men who are married who are not stepping up.
You know one thing I've noticed and one thing I've realized, especially when it comes to that very issue, right? They seem to be, okay, it's like right now, right? And there's this amplified, so there's this amplified thing whereby people will be like, yo, like as in if one woman says baba wako has to provide, I'm stepping up, right? It's like someone says this guy is rubbish, right? You would think that
I don't think that
no, I'm saying you would think that every man walking on the earth on the surface of the earth is rubbish. So I feel like, especially when it comes to those stats and whatever, right? People are putting in work. People are going out there working hard day in, day out, whether it's in the informal sector or whatever. Not that I'm defending men because I'm a man, but I'm just saying, Guti, I feel like because of a certain agenda and a certain narrative that needs to be pushed in a certain way, right? You would then, I think the numbers and the figures or whatever, it's like one video I'm accident. But anyway, but you understand what I mean? I feel like there's a
No, I'm listening to
I'm
you.
Not being
I'm laughing with you.
No, but what I'm saying is that at the end of the day, I feel like, yes, as much as there are people headed my household that are headed by women and whatever, right? It's like some of us never really got to actually experience and see our dads because they were so busy working, whether like people were working so hard to provide, but because the mom is always present and nurturing and whatever. But manager, CEO, plaza. But anyway, continue.
Can I ask you a simple question?
Yeah.
How many times have you been prepped, family level, for marriage? How many times are you prepared when someone sets
It's
you
more
down?
like being traumatized because every single time you're around family, they're like, no,
right? They ask you to, but when have they set you down to say, this is how marriage works, this is how women behave, this is what it means to be a man, outside the providing conversation?
No. I feel like personally, right? Like I feel like when we talked about the issue of divorce, right? I feel like one of the greatest lessons, especially for young men and young boys out there, one of the greatest lessons that you can actually learn for how to become a man and how to become a better husband to your wife is seeing how your dad is loving your husband, like just seeing that. And because men usually are great followers when they see another man they look up to. So I feel like the prep part is because it's just, no, there's a new show that we're trying to create where we're talking to different men, and then we're like, we asked a lot of men, when was the last time your dad told you he loves you?
Never.
That's what I'm saying. Yeah, remember that other episode we shot an episode with a guest, and then we asked him.
It shows weakness if I tell my.
And then he was with his son there and there. The son is now old. I don't know what's good. And I was like, so have you ever told your son that you love him? Like, no, that's sissy behavior. But I was like, so have you ever told your grandchildren that you love your grandsons? Like, yeah, I tell them I love them every time. So at the end of the day, when you say, have you been prepped? I feel like they're men that I see doing well in that department that I aspire to and that I talk to, that like, yeah, do they tell me, Guti, yo, this is how you switch off the light and then this is how you jump on the bed? No. They don't tell me those good details.
That's what women are being told all the time. Buy sexy lingerie, men love red, Johnny. That's literally every day. That's what women are being taught. Especially Ukatongokura, that's what you're taught. Men like this, men like that. Smile more. Hey, push up your boobs so that boys get... Women are overly sexualized because we're preparing them to please men. But men don't get that same. Because no, but do this for women. You know, vakadzana adiki. You know, akachita forgive. But you get the same. Kuvakadzi not no varumaru. They anodzoka kumba. Don't worry. You know, shingirira. Don't need mukadzi mukuru.
Interesting. So the stuff that I want to ask. What are some of the craziest and wildest things that your gogo told you? And then I'll ask you why I asked you that question like that.
Okay. Crazy. Okay.
Did your gogo teach you anything about when you're dating in your teens? Did she teach you anything about that? What do you mean?
Remember, small town.
Yeah.
Gold miners, chanjanjani. So for us, I think it was more of a protection mechanism. Kuti udaku mitiswa was it, I say, that sort of thing. And also, I think the one thing my gogo taught me that I feel like I let her down was kuruga madweri. She was excellent. So she believed kuti yes, go to work, but have something chemaoko that you can do. Chemadweri vakambosama shakaramba. Dating, on the dating front, I think only Kungo, I remember seeing my cousins would come back home and complain kuti rumors wandirova njani. And then she'd be like, no, tukenda no popota. But then the husband, when he comes, akangota mukadzi wake atoendeswa. Because at the end of the day, I think being married was more important, and keeping that mukadzi munu was more important than someone going back and coming.
Than mental health.
Yeah, than mental health.
And what are some of the wildest things that your gogo taught you? Like when you say yo ichi yo. Like I remember watching the video about you saying Tauro Mwana Chifumuro. What's Chifumuro?
Mushonga.
No. Like medicine.
Yes, mushonga. It's a root.
All right.
Chinotocherwa. Chifumuro chacho chimudzi chacho. And then you chomeswa wosonerera pa kona pa towel for protection and stuff like that.
Why specifically that herb?
Because that's its job. So if anyone is doing bad stuff or achikuro, it even works outside Shivana. If you think wakajikiswa, if you think uruguroewa,
you won't be thinking like.
No, there are men who actually at some point are like, you know, I think the gajikiswa.
I don't go to what big it after.
But
why do you think that is?
Because I think it's out of wanting to.
Would you use a love potion?
No, because I know the implications of using love potions.
What are the implications?
Havas madzinzese anobvumiwa nema-love potion. Vamwe vanogadzirwa vari vanoadiki kuti zvisashande.
Yeah, speaking of vanaadiki, when you speak of food what happens to people kana vachinzi vanogadzira?
Vamwe vanotemerwa nyora. Vachitori vacheche chaivo. Zvekuti when you grow up you won't even know kuti wakatemerwa nyora, right? Vamwe vanomwiswa
For what? For protection or what?
For protection.
All right.
Yeah. Vamwe vanomwiswa mishonga. It's different from who's doing, like ndiani your custodian family menu, but vamwe vanotemerwa dziri nyora. Vamwe vanobikirwa porridge rine mishonga. Vodyiswa zvotopera. So you come now 15 years later netkuma love potion twakotwawana kwaGogo something. Vamwe vanhu vanototi achitodya anotothrowa up ipapo.
Wait, I'm fascinated about this thing here. Kuti vanhu vanogadzira vari vanadiki. For what purpose really? Like are they making this love potion to say Mwana don't gas like I mean
yes.
No, I'm like what else are they fixing in that process of saying as a kid we're doing this here?
Vamwe they come from families bata zvoti memshoza kuti ningi kwana ningi vanoita zvakati. So for protection purposes okuti vana vasamutswe mausiku because kuna vanhu vanoda zvomutsa nevamwe vanhu kuti varoyese. So it's mostly for protection. And then there are other people on the other spectrum. If it's a mom, she wants to control her sons for the rest of her life and she wants to have a hold kuno vanhu toita izvozvo zvekutoti murume hauna chaunomuudzira salary yake development inotanga yadiscusswa kwamai vake kana zvozodzoka kumba kwenyu.
Wow, this is crazy. I've always wanted to know, right? What are some of the things you learned about? And I remember asking people at the office the other time. I was asking just like mothers at the office. I was like, "Yo, do you know what happened to Mwana? And or like what? Tell me what's a resemblance of that, and what really happens with that aspect of like in our African system."
Guvu really very important. Guvu. The
first haircut. All right.
Because pangari mudumbu, that's zvakambatanidza who they are as a person. So you can temper ne destiny yemunhu uchishandisa gufu nebvudzi. I remember number the TikTok ndichiti muchanditsenyu naro but gerai vana like the first hair and dispose it with mechanisms I don't trust. Because panomwana nemagufa vari somewhere in someone's house wekuti kana wanetsa uri kuharare tinongozunza gufu rako iroro unodzoka kumusha papepo unotongopika mabhegi odzoka kumusha.
You know the way my producer is looking at you right now. I want to ask. Then it begs me to ask, like, because right now audience yedu, especially in the UK, ichafunza kuti like. Have you verified how have you verified your grandmother's information? And can we trust your grandmother? And can we bring it to the show your grandmother? How have you verified someone's information?
So a simple way to verify is comment section. You can't have a lot of people confirming and concurring and saying, oh, no, this is true, if my grandmother was making up stuff in her own heart somewhere. Unfortunately, she passed away.
Oh,
so we can't bring, no, it's okay. But we can bring her sisters because I'm sure they'll also confirm the same, you know. That's why there's always that fight between Mwana and Murora and Gufu. Vamwene vanenge in her own way, probably, because obviously vana vavo, I want to know disposal like so murora vanenge achitwa and usually there's that tag chakuti between varora nevamwene wekuti murora anga achingofunga kuti vamwene vanoroya sana achingoti ndikavapa gufu remwana wangu mwana wangu acharoyiwa. So yeah.
So what's the right way to actually to go about it? Like it's gufu in Zim they don't give you a placenta, right?
No, you just go chatoche kwashinosara kuchipatara.
All right. What's the proper way of disposing of a gufu?
It's not a one size fits all, right? It's not a one. Even because there are some people that say gufu iroro ukarisonerera futi mutawo mwana wako aroyeke, right? It just depends what are good disposer. Do you trust them with your child's life? So most people would prefer Anamaiva. So I would prefer my mom to dispose because obviously I trust her.
She's got your best interest at us.
Thank you. And then, you know, cannot you trust her when you've got that working relationship and I'm with it and if I ever dispose.
You know, we've seen a lot of a rise of a lot of like you know, like with a time whereby I'm depressed was a new in thing. Now, Pakuita, a time whereby Manjuzu was a new thing, and then now there is this like there is this thing where people are passing on dangerous information from a spiritual perspective, or because you wanna be cool, and of which. This is not something to be cool. This is someone's spirituality. This is people's lives you're talking about. And this is, how do people navigate to know mabogas in the real thing, in the real deal? Because there's a lot of ads. Do you know, like, I've never seen, ad, yeah. Because my ad actually, they're improving by the day. Ad, rem face here when you, my face here, you check gold. And so these are like promo ads. We are no new then I'm panosara business. How do you regulate and how do you control this? And what's your take on that? This whole movement, Irugichiga?
I also am very worried, Kuti, you have, for me, right, African spirituality is something that you shouldn't be profiteering off, because if it's a gift, you didn't do anything to attain it. It's not like you went to school and you're like, oh, gift, right? And gift comes with its purposes. So I'm always saying, when you want to advertise on Facebook, because there are a lot of spiritualists on Facebook.
I remember live on TikTok. You know those TikTok lives, right?
Yes.
Okay. Right.
So, because for me, most of traditional spirituality, I've told you my phone. Right.
True that.
So how are you doing a whole thing on the phone? How are you going kushrine kwako with the whole camera and your record? For me, I don't really get it. And also I think we're in an era in one very touchy-feely. Very touchy-feely. If you question them, they're like, hey, but spirituality is so broad. It's not like you don't know some answers. There's spirituality, but there are things that are fundamental that should be the same across the board. Right, but punish that should just be standard. And one of them is this whole thing of kana usina marusa wekudare kwangu. Nganga dzekudhara waiti chero une nzungu, chero uine chii, you would go and you would get the service. And then kana wazo zvako zvaita unoenda kunotenda. Right. For me, that whole principle has been lost. Because the people would say to you, for a reading, kana usina mari yakati, don't come. Saka munhu ofa ere nekuti hana mari.
So like speaking on back in the day and spirituality and stuff. Why do you think that like churches insist on white weddings?
It's a borrowed culture. White weddings are a borrowed culture. White weddings, I did a post on Twitter, White weddings are an English culture. Queen Victoria and the likes. Dogo shakatangiroko. That's not even a Zimbabwean thing. I remember in Jiseka, that's not an African thing. Remember in Jiseka, because pretty much that's what you're doing. You are holding on to African culture, which I think Uningochi despise, which is, but you're just doing it because it's supposed to be done. And then you're also doing white people culture. Because that whole thing, it's not our culture. But I guess it looks cool, and then she supported in a constitutional law. Otherwise, so the kanamarambana property ninjan.
Like one thing I've noticed, right? Like there's similarities in certain cultures, there's certain things. Like it's like thou shalt not kill, your heart, and it just differs on how you would probably do it and whatever. If you're bigger in door and whatever. Do you feel like we need an indigenous system curriculum so that at least if you're in Matabele and the Matabeles do it like this, if you're in Mashonaland, this is what you do and whatever. Do you feel like we need an indigenous systems of how we operate as a people as a curriculum?
I think so. I think we do. Why we need it is because most of our African knowledge and African indigenous systems got disrupted. So we're talking about the colonialism, slavery. We got disrupted because we didn't have stuff written down. And whatever records we have are accounts of white people, Arabs, or ever vakaita interaction with Africans and African civilizations and jotted down whatever they observed. But it's also we already had a system going on, however it was not written. So I think onus is on us to actually start writing these things down from our own lens, which actually tell our own African story, our own African truth. I feel that that is very important. And it's also very important because as a civilization, if you don't have that sort of grounding in who you are very easy to manipulate and to control, and you are pretty much very easy to dismantle. And
you're a fairly beautiful young lady, and I want to know, like, what African hoops do you make the person who tries to quote you go through, and what did Gogo tell you about the red flags to look out from a guy? How do you ask that? Maybe someone might not even know that.
How do you not?
But I'll just say it.
No, I'm just joking. But these are some of them. So what naGogo asked me to look out for are some of these things. Akakudzwa say, what value system did this person have when they were being brought up? What's their relationship with their parents, their extended family? Because those are the same things that they're going to bring into your family, right?
Yes.
And you know, kune vanoshikirwa here, vane umambo here, ndana chief here, because it also then sets the tone in terms of expectations of me kandapinda mushamao.
And like, do you have any like crazy stories of maybe wakataxa umayane munhu ane ngozi wakataxa umuka manheru, like as in?
No, I don't have crazy stories of Manengos. No, I don't. No, I wouldn't.
And still on that like relationship part and like whatever, right? There's always been this big debate about soul ties when it comes to spirituality and people getting along. And Mwana go to yo, if I die, I die. Like how? Explain that, because there are different explanations and whatever. Like because it always seemed like my soul tie actually negative shit. No gonna make like explain that whole soul ties thing.
Okay, so soul ties. Here's how it works, right? I wouldn't want to talk about it from a soul ties perspective because I really don't understand that spectrum altogether. But I'll talk about it from an ancestor's perspective.
All right.
Right. There are people where you might get into a courtship with someone and their ancestors, aka underground gang, they like you. And then probably munu wako ato vaudza. Because I'm seeing this person.
You said what? Underground gang?
Yes.
All right.
Vadzimu.
Okay.
Yes. So probably munoudana naye akatonoudza midzimu yake kuti ndiri kudanana naAlex anoera chakati janje baba wake ndinhingi mai vake ndinhingi, and they have a whole meeting. So a whole meeting will be held
in my absence.
Yes.
All right.
Your gang, her gang things happening, and then we'll accept and what farida, but you're still dating, right? And then probably things happen, Jolo doesn't work out. That person overregira kuno informa kuti zvinhu zvavo zvakazodhakwa. Kwavari, they will still fight to make sure you guys get back together because there was a whole introduction that happened spiritually. And then kuna zvimwe zvisiri ma soul ties that people think ma soul ties, but probably you hurt someone that really liked you, and then vakuisira bute pasi vakurererera. Right. So now you constantly dream about them and you're like, no, it's a soul tie. No, it's not a soul tie. They just didn't, they just did the hocus pocus and yeah.
Okay, so tell me, what are some of the things that you like or would you like to preserve about our culture?
Lobola. We should preserve Lobola. We should preserve speaking to our ancestors. We should preserve the family unit. How many? 5?
Whatever you can, yeah.
We should preserve the knowledge. Let's keep teaching our kids stuff about our African tradition, our African heritage. There's nothing to be scared of, about our African tradition. Let's not demonize African traditional religion. There's no reason to demonize it. In essence, African traditional religion protects us.
All right. And what are the top 5 videos that you think people should check out? On just give us your page and the top 5 videos you think people should check out.
Okay, so my page is titled Mwana, akarerwa naGogo. If you actually look for it, you'll find it. Top 5, I think I've pinned the first 3 that people should watch. So if you go to my page, I've pinned those 3. And then look for the one that speaks about children, where it says, when I visit people. So it's the one where I say, when I visit people that do ABCD. So when I visit people that don't make their babies drink for a bit of water, and then you go in the comment section. I've also tried to describe why it's important.
All right, cool. Anyway, ladies and gentlemen, if you were offended, that was the actual intention. If you're impressed and inspired, that was the actual intention as well. This has been the Bold Exchange.